Not much to him, if you ask me.
Oh, you mean he's not Kennedy?
Given how much Junior Soprano admires and idolizes the man, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the Kennedys had a great relationship with the Mafia, including JFK. But it's more complicated than that. It started off well enough. In fact, it's alleged that the mob helped get JFK elected by fixing the vote in Illinois.
There he is. Blackjack Monroe.
Fun fact, Jackie Kennedy's father was actually nicknamed Black Jack.
Oh, look at that. Look at those guys, huh? They had some times, huh?
It wasn't just Junior. Frank Sinatra was also a fan of JFK, and JFK was likewise quite a fan of Sinatra and the Rat Pack as a whole.
I'll begin with this look at JFK's Las Vegas ties with two words: Rat Pack.
So far as we know, JFK's first visit here was to visit during the Rat Pack.
And so he summoned Frank across the country to Hyannisport, and they had a meeting, and he said to him, I want you to bring people on board. Frank's mission was to bring on board, particularly Sam Giancana, to enable him to swing every possible vote for Jack.
The Mafia came through on their end of the deal, so now it should be smooth sailing, right?
I don't beg you every moment. I can't believe I stuck up for him. I feel like I've been stabbed in the heart.
JFK decides to make his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, his attorney general. And once there, RFK makes it his mission to go after organized crime.
Let me ask you something about this JFK worship of yours. What about Harvey and the Teamsters?
That was the brother.
Oh.
Did you say that SOB, I'll break his back?
Who?
You.
Say to who?
To anyone.
Figure of speech, I don't even know who I was talking about, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, Mr. Hoffa, all I'm trying to find out, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm trying to find out whose back you were going to break.
Figure of speech.
Jimmy Hoffa and the brothers Kennedy had a bitter relationship, described as a blood feud.
Calling my husband Johnny, which was his father's name.
When he was taken into custody, Junior made pointed references to the McGuire sisters, Sam Giancana.
You mean the Kennedy assassination?
Yeah.
You mean as related to this?
I had to ask.
My husband was 3 years old.
JFK was shot and killed on Friday, November 22nd, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. He was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald. There are many theories that Lee Harvey Oswald didn't act alone.
Junior, you shot him.
Yeah, well, it's not that simple. I know a few things you don't. Like maybe I wasn't acting alone.
Junior, JFK was 40 years ago.
That's all I'll say about that.
It's really not a crazy conspiracy theory the way that sometimes it's made out to be, because we know there were quite a few people that had connections to Giancana that were within the radius of that assassination.
He'd be leaving your house, he'd pull a Jack Ruby on you. You wouldn't have to punch this fucking asshole.
Out by Captain Fritz. There is a pussy. There is Lee. He's been shot.
Jack Ruby was a nightclub owner in Texas. He's the one who fatally shot Lee Harvey Oswald 2 days after Oswald shot JFK.
You know where I was when he was shot? I was getting a haircut.
Bobby's dead.
Ambassador Hotel.
On June 5th, 1968, U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy was shot 3 times at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles.
Always comes in threes, huh?
Just years earlier, Kennedy's brother, President John F. Kennedy, had been assassinated in Dallas, Texas.
A lot of dead.
RFK was leaving the Ambassador Hotel after celebrating several victories in the 1968 Democratic presidential primaries when he was gunned down by 24-year-old Sirhan Sirhan.
You're Bobby.
God, look at this. Like a movie star.
Jackie Kennedy.
and seeing Mrs. Kennedy walk out of Air Force One behind her husband's casket. And I think I can remember my parents and my two older brothers gasping.
Listen to her, like Rose Kennedy, with all her money to throw around.
In 1968, during Robert F. Kennedy's presidential campaign, Rose Kennedy said to reporters, "It's our money and we're free to spend it how we please."
Keep thinking you know everything. Some people are so far behind in a race that they actually believe they're leading.
Yeah, that's cute. Who the fuck is Eckel?
Eckley.
What are you saying? He was retarded?
You go fuck yourself. He was slow. They didn't understand these things back then.
The brother of Johnny Boy and Junior Soprano, who was developmentally disabled, and that makes me think of Rosemary Kennedy, one of the Kennedy siblings who had mental and cognitive impairments, which got substantially worse after she was given a lobotomy, a decision that her father, Joe Kennedy, made without Rose's input, for what it's worth. Let's talk briefly about car accidents and Kennedy. Though in the case of Kennedy and Heidi, it was Kennedy who suggested turning back around and going back to the scene of the accident. But in the case of Ted Kennedy, when he got into an accident while driving his car off a bridge in Chappaquiddick, he didn't go back and a young woman drowned.
Maybe you should go back, Heidi. Kennedy, I'm on my learner's permit after dark.
Kennedy survived but failed to report the accident until 10 hours later. Today, police moved to prosecute the senator on a charge of leaving the scene of an accident after causing bodily harm.
Marilyn Monroe and JFK had an affair, and one night at Madison Square Garden, she sang him happy birthday, and it was very cringeworthy to say the least. When Tony shows Fran Felstein his father's mistress the JFK hat.
Yeah, come on, it's JFK's hat. I put that off. Give me that.
Fran puts it on and sings happy birthday Marilyn Monroe style, and it also snaps Tony out of this romanticized notion he had of the past, and of his father too.
Happy birthday to you. We had a little thing.
When he was president?
Right before the Bay of Pigs.
Hold this from a slice of gabagool.
There's a lot more I could go into as it relates to Marilyn Monroe and the Kennedys, but I may save that for its own video. But there are theories that just like the Mafia gets people to disappear to keep them from running their mouths or if they're becoming too much of a liability. As the story goes, Marilyn Monroe knew too much, and they were also worried that she was going to start singing about things she'd learned from the Kennedys. And when I say they worried, I'm talking about the Kennedys, not the Mafia.
She was JFK's girlfriend for like 3 years.
No shit.
Right, I remember hearing about her.
In an interview with Life magazine just days after JFK was assassinated, Jackie Kennedy romanticized the White House and the JFK administration, making it seem like it was its own Camelot. She described their administration as a brief, shining moment of youthful idealism. And that makes me think of Tony when he thinks back to these wonderful times in the past, including this relationship between Johnny Boy and Fran Felstein.
You had to see this woman in her prime.
Nice, huh?
Knockout. Beautiful, classy.
But we know the truth is much more complicated than that in both the Soprano household and in the Camelot White House.
This woman was like a princess.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this latest Sopranos history video. I'd love to hear from you.